So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the Joinery Hour. Again, it's brilliant to be having the conversations in the groups and beginning to really grow and learn and learn from one another, learn from the experts that are in the room. So I'm Erin Woodger, you probably know me by now. Today I'm talking about the communication and the importance of communicating well with your clients. And it might seem an obvious thing, but it's really easy for it not to be quite right and therefore to land clunky. And it's communication right the way through, from the beginning when you're courting a client, let's say, and how often do you chase them up? How often do you ring? Do you send them an email? At what point when you're chasing up a client after you've done a quote, do you begin to feel like a bit of a weird stalker? And it's all about the communication, and getting that right can be the difference between getting that 100 grand project or not. And then through the project, once you've got it, if you're not having that clear conversation, if you're not laying out the expectations and communicating, like money's a real one where people get really upset if suddenly the bill is a bit more than they were expecting, or there's a payment that doesn't match what you've communicated at the beginning. So the clarity of communication right the way through is really critical. So at the beginning, when let's say an inquiry comes in, how are you talking to them? How are you making them feel? Don't be too technical, because you'll be passionate about your product. You'll know all the technical things about it, but they won't. For them, it might be about the security of their home. It might be about how they want the product to make them feel. And so it's listening to them. It's listening to the words that they use. And so if they're using the words like, I want to have my family round within the kitchen, or I want to feel secure, I want my house to be secure and warm, mirror those words back. Use the word family, use the word secure. And they will very much feel like, this is the person that's going to deliver what I want. So it's listening to those little cues. And then it's getting the permission to communicate going forward. So never finish a conversation, finish a presentation without booking the next, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email, whether it's a visit, ask that permission. And then they'll tell you if they're not ready and they don't want to be contacted for 6 months, or whether actually they want to get on with it and they want to push that forward. Let them set that rhythm of communication, because some people, they want to be communicated to once every 6 months. Some people would much prefer it every few days, because the builders are in and they need some windows, or they need a kitchen, and for whatever reason something's gone wrong, and therefore they're needing that really quickly. Let them set that rhythm and then match that rhythm in the communication and in how they communicate. So if they're sending you WhatsApp texts, send them WhatsApp text back. If they like to email them back. If they like to call, pick up the phone, talk to them, but then communicate that back in an email so everything is in writing. So everything is, because customers want to feel secure. And as soon as they feel insecure, that's when things start to go wrong and they start to nitpick, and projects just begin to, you know what they're like, when they start to go wrong, they just continue to go wrong. And that's because you're not communicating well. So lay out the expectations right at the beginning. So we're looking at the finances. Make it crystal clear. These are our terms. This is when you need to pay. This is what you need to pay. And here are the dates of when you need to pay. And then they're comfortable. Any additions, have that conversation straight away. It might feel a bit awkward, but have that conversation. If they're changing the worktop and it's another 5,000 quid, get that in writing. Yes, we understand that's going to be another £5,000. We're happy to pay it, and this is when we're expected to pay it. Then you don't get that awkward bit at the end where they're holding back the final payment because they're claiming they didn't know anything about it. That clear communication. And what you need to do is you need to make them feel special. You need to make them feel in that moment that they are the most important client in the world to you. You might have 300 other clients, but in that moment of communicating with them, you need to make them feel special. And making them feel special is connecting with them. Just spend that little bit of extra time. Remember their name, remember their dog's name, remember details about them, and communicate back in a rhythm. So if they speak fairly quickly and they're quite excitable, then just speed up your voice and marry them a little bit. If they're a bit more slow and methodical, then marry that through, because what they will feel is, this person's like me. I can connect with this person understands me, and therefore I trust them. And that's what communication is all about, is building this trust. It's the same in relationships, isn't it? And we're having these relationships with our clients. Sometimes with the trade client, it's ongoing. And we're needing to have that communication. We're needing to set that rhythm. We're needing to make them feel special and make them feel really connected and really communicated well with. Other times, you've got a client, you have a huge amount of communication during the project of, let's say, 10, 12 weeks, and that's it, you never talk again. But they've got to feel like your best friend through that project, but not too much. And that's finding that rhythm. And it is mirroring how they are and giving them that trust. And the more secure they feel, the more they know what to expect. They know what to expect of the process. Here's the process. When we're going to come and design your kitchen, and this is the stages that's going to happen. And at the end of every stage, we're going to be asking them permission for the next stage, and we're going to be booking in the next stage. And therefore they're on the journey with you. They're feeling like you're holding their hand and you're guiding them through the process, because you're the expert. They probably only have a new kitchen once, twice in a lifetime at the level, or windows or joinery. These are big projects. They're big moments in people's lives, and to you do them all the time. So it's easy to become a bit blasé. You need to take a little step back, recognize that it's hugely important for them and it's incredibly disruptive for them. So that communication, the communication when you're in production, keep communicating, letting them, it's like a pizza app. When you order a Domino's pizza, it used to a few years ago not tell you that they were cooking it and preparing it and out for delivery, and therefore they had loads and loads of people ringing up saying, is my pizza ready, is my pizza ready? And they were stopping the people cooking the pizza, who were having to stop, answer the phone and say, yeah, I'm in the middle of cooking it, and going back. So all they did is they put a little tracker on the app, and it just tells you they're getting the ingredients ready, it's in the oven, and now it's out for delivery. And whether the timings are real or not, just gives you that security. It's the same with Uber. When you can see the Uber driver on your app and you can see where they are, you know their name, you know the registration of the car, you feel comfortable, and it gives you that assurity. You don't need to have an app that does that, but communicate in a similar way. Let people know that their project is going into the workshop. Let people know if there's a delay immediately. If you tell somebody something's going to be late and you're telling them 4-6 weeks in advance, they're fine, they can move things around. If you're ringing them up when you're supposed to be on site tomorrow saying, I'm sorry, we're not going to be there, that's when they're going to get upset, and that's when things start to go wrong. Communicate, and however much you don't want to, communicate straight away the good and the bad. So when things are going right, communicate that, because you might know that they don't. They're sat there at home worrying, is my project on time? I've got all this going on, there's an extension being built, I've got builders, are my windows on track? Just a little text message to say, yeah, windows are on track, they're in the workshop, they're just being sprayed, we're coming out as promised in 2 weeks. Right, they're settled. And that's all it took, just a little text. And turn these things into a process, because it may be that you can do that, but as you grow and you need other people to be doing this process, you need to set that rhythm and you need to detail that out. Because if you detail it out, people can follow the rhythm that you follow and follow the way of communicating. Have standard terms and conditions, have standard notes when you're sending out a quote. Have that rhythm set out for people, but also the way you communicate. Teach that to your staff and write it down. So it's just a process that people follow, because then you get consistency, and communication is all about being consistent. So every single client that comes in, regardless of who they deal with within your company, needs to get the same experience, and the communication needs to be same throughout. So they seem really simple, obvious things, but they're so easy to miss and so easy to not do when you're busy and frazzled and charging around and things are going wrong, or just trying to keep everything going. It's really easy to forget just to do those small bits of communication that keeps everybody happy. So build a system for it. Use a CRM, use a system that reminds you to make that communication, that automate it where possible, automate that communication. But make sure if you are automating it, that it still has that human feel, and you're still matching people with the rhythm and the method of how they like to communicate. But systemize it, and then it will happen. And then regardless of how busy you're feeling, it will just become a process, and then hand that across to one of your staff. Delegate it. So it just happens without you. Even when you're on holiday, all of the clients are being communicated with in exactly the same way as you. So communicate well, match the rhythm, and systemize it. Thanks very much.